Morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you're at in the world. This is DeFi, crypto, and airdrops. I am Veteran Crypto, aka Mike, and I specialize in DeFi. So we're gonna go ahead and jump on into it. I'd like to thank everybody who's joining me. And if those of you from Blockchain Basement, once you join in, appreciate you as well. But today we're going to talk about the basics of DeFi, just kind of how it works, how you can enter positions, what platforms are the best platforms to use because of trust and things like that. So we're actually going to start learning the what's going to be dipping your toe in the water of getting into DeFi positions and doing it in a safe way to mitigate the risk. So with that, the markets today are have been kind of flat. The best performers today is we got Flare, BitTensor, uh, got Pancake Swap. That's good to see. That's a good DeFi play. Mantra. This one is controversial. It's an RWA play, and those of you that haven't been paying attention, it took a huge dump. Um, could be the end of the project, could be a beautiful entry point. Um, it happened with Sol when FTX crashed. Sol took a huge hit, and I actually bought some Sol. It got down to as far as $8, and I bought at 20, and then sold at 200. So there's opportunities out there. Not it's a degen play. Do it, don't do it, up to you. But a bit of news. This is to kind of frame the conversation with DeFi. DeFi was an outlier. It was something that degens did for a long time. Traditional finance paid no attention to it. Most people in crypto, even now, don't really pay attention to DeFi. But that is to your benefit if you are an early adopter. So now centralized exchanges are actually starting to integrate DeFi into their offerings on their platforms. So, hey, what's up, Alexandra G, Uncle Tommy? Appreciate you. Actually, um, remind me to make some of you guys mods. I need some help in the chat as we grow this channel. But MEXC and Coinbase come to mind as far as doing this. So Coinbase, for example, those of you that watch the basement, those of you that watch, Discover Crypto, you've seen where they talk about Morpho and how they are the platform that Coinbase is using for their Bitcoin loans. Loaning, borrowing, all of those things, liquidity pools are all part of DeFi in ways that you can earn. So these centralized exchanges are starting to catch on, and a lot of like Ondo, that they're a big part of tokenizing assets, so that you can make these assets liquid to where they can be onboarded to decentralized finance. Because the only way that something can be a part of DeFi is if it's tokenized. So just wanted to put that out there. Like this says, the future of trading is taking and newcomers want greater control over their assets. Decentralized trading is no longer a niche experiment, it's an inevitable evolution. Yet the road to mass adoption is riddled with obstacles. Chief among those, fragmented liquidity, security vulnerabilities. Anybody that's looked at DeFi and crypto for any amount of time knows that there is security issues, and I'll get into that here in a bit. But like smart contracts, you can have malicious smart contracts, things like that, and an often frustrating user experience. Those of you that have been in DeFi at all know that using wallets and crypto in general, bridging and transferring assets can be nerve wracking. DeFi was merely an experimental playground for crypto enthusiasts, and meme coins were a fringe narrative largely ignored by the mainstream. Today, on chain opportunities have become um, a new focus area. Against this backdrop, centralized exchanges are providing on-chain solutions integrating decentralized exchange models with the best of their offerings to provide the users with more flexible trading options. So what this does is it takes away the barrier to entry. So if you can go on Coinbase, not know anything about crypto, not don't know about wallets, don't know about any of that, you can go on Coinbase and you can take out loans on your Bitcoin. So, that is the big issue with crypto and DeFi and a lot of this stuff is that people just don't have the time to become knowledgeable about starting a wallet. How do out addresses work? If I send it to the wrong address and all of a sudden my money's gone, how can I get it back? People just don't know this stuff, and people get burned and get turned off and call crypto a scam. So if these centralized exchanges can offer these things and make it a seamless experience for people, we're going to see DeFi explode. So if getting into DeFi and getting knowledgeable about it now and earning at these current APYs is going to slingshot your portfolio if you do it right. And I want to help you on that journey. Oh, yeah. Mountain magnets. I appreciate you, man. Let's give a quick shout out to everybody in the chat. Alexandria G, Uncle Tommy, Kyle Watts, Sufficient Enough, Granny's Garden. Always appreciate chatting with you, Granny. Ellie Fucks, and I'll swear I don't care. Falco, Mountain Magnets, Psychedelic Astronaut. Appreciate you all from the basement. Looks like K Jam. As always, I appreciate you, brother. So yeah, DeFi is not a fad or a trend. It is here to stay. At some point, TradFi and DeFi is going to merge to where it's going to be seamless. You won't be able to tell if you're using DeFi or if you're using TradFi. I'm actually talking to on our Sunday show. I have my brother Taylor, who is a estate lawyer and owns a title company for real estate. Very successful down in Texas. We just kind of shoot the shit and smoke cigars and drink whiskey. And Jeff, who's a licensed financial advisor, I'm actually teaching him DeFi now, so that he's knowledgeable. Of course, very knowledgeable in TradFi, but I want to get him knowledgeable in DeFi so I can bring him on the show and he can give us updates on how DeFi, is being integrated into TradFi offerings. So anyway, all right, cool. Yeah, no, it's real estate. I'm huge on real estate. That's how I made most of my money. Is obviously I got I'm fully retired. I retired at 40 out of the military. Throughout my military career, I didn't waste my money. I actually invested in real estate quite a bit and sold most of my real estate to do my homestead up here in the woods and built my own cabin. So yeah, I mean it's like from the ground up. I built it myself, and now all I do is invest online and work on my property, go fishing and stuff. So yeah, I'm just kind of living my own little dream. So our socials. So you can come to this is our main channel, and if you come to more, you can you know follow me on X, follow Jeff on X, hit network, um, discover crypto, blockchain basement, Kelly over at BitLab Academy, Taco over at DGen Alpha. We're all going to be in this hit network Discord where you can talk with us, you can talk with each other, get advice about trading, about DeFi, whatever. So I highly suggest you guys get involved with our new Discord. And of course you got all of our different channels. This is my Sunday show, Life, Liberty, Liquidity. But yeah, feel free to join us there. Again, here's my X profile. So let's jump into it. I want to start teaching all of you out there. So oh, that's nice. 30 acres. That's a nice piece. I only got 20 acres here. Um, so what is DeFi? So DeFi is decentralized finance. It's financial services run, obviously on code on the blockchain. There's no banks, no middlemen. that is why what makes it so powerful, and I'll get into that. The key features are it's permissionless, so no approval is needed to use. You don't have to go to a bank. You don't have to, call somebody and talk with somebody and have them, fill out a bunch of paperwork, and none of that is needed. It's a couple of clicks online. If you want to borrow, if you want to lend, if you want to, add liquidity to a pool, it's all done just you and a UI, a user interface. It's 24/7, 365, holidays, doesn't matter. It's beautiful. I am freaking loving it, and I can't stress how powerful this is. It's transparent. It's open source smart contracts. Smart contracts are the key to DeFi. Without smart contracts, you could not do DeFi. And I have a short little video I'll share with you that explains that. It's non-custodial. So you hold your own funds in most cases. And the smart contract is, you get an NFT, which is kind of your receipt to the ownership of those assets that you're providing to earn. So, real world analogy: TradFi is like a bank. DeFi is self driving money. You are fully in charge. How DeFi works: the key concepts is smart contracts, and I'm gonna play this really short video. It's a very basic explanation on what a smart contract is. And by all means, if you guys or you guys or girls have any questions, please put them in the chat. I'm more than happy to address your questions. I want to make sure that you all fully understand this because it's important that you understand these basics before you get into DeFi.
You've probably heard of contracts. They're pretty common in everyday life. But why do we need these contracts? What do they do? Contracts are written agreements between two or more people or groups. They help us define clear expectations about the agreement and what will happen if anyone breaks the agreement. Contracts are like a source of truth that anyone can go back and look at to understand what each person agreed to. For example, let's say you want to build a pool in your backyard. You can't build the pool yourself, so you need to hire somebody. You've heard that Maria is really good at building pools, so you tell her you'll pay her $100 to build one in your yard. She agrees to help. To formalize this verbal agreement, the two of you decide to write up a contract. The contract writes out the details for what Maria needs to build, what she needs to finish the job, and when, how, and how much you're going to pay her. In short, this contract makes expectations super clear for both you and Maria. In the world of crypto, there are also contracts, but they are called smart contracts. Just like the regular contracts we've been talking about, smart contracts lay out the details of an agreement. What makes smart contracts smart is that they are written in code on a blockchain, and they automatically action things if the agreement is met. For example, if your agreement with Maria was written as a smart contract, it would automatically transfer $100 from your crypto wallet to her crypto wallet once she completed building the pool in your yard. But if she had built a pyramid instead of the pool, the smart contract would know not to send the money. How cool is that? Smart contracts can be used for many different things in the world of crypto, everything from gaming and finance to logistics and loans. They are opening up new possibilities for how people make agreements and do business with one another.
All right. So, in a nutshell, that's what a smart contract is, and the reason it's so important in DeFi. Oh, hold on. There we go. The reason it's so important in DeFi is it allows for that trustless exchange of liquidity. So, as you can see on the screen, this is Uniswap. A lot of you might be familiar with it. You can come here and you can, swap, assets. Like if you have ETH and you want to swap it for something else on ETH mainnet, you can do that. You can do limit purchases, just like you would on centralized exchange. You can buy, Bitcoin, ETH, whatever asset you want. You can send, all of those things. So that's kind of what a DeFi platform, the basis of a DeFi platform. Now you can come here to pools, and I'm actually gonna add liquidity to one of my positions here in a minute. I wanna, show you all, how easy it is to, add liquidity to an existing position. So on Uniswap, you have these pools, and these are the assets. In lending, it's usually a single asset, but when you're contributing liquidity to a liquidity pool, it is dual asset. And reason being is you're providing liquidity whenever anyone is swapping. So anyone on Uniswap that comes here and swaps one asset for another, then this is what the pool of money that is facilitating that swap. So if somebody comes and they want to swap wrapped Bitcoin for USDC, then it's using this TVL, this $137 million that's in this pool. And so you can add $100, $1,000, $10,000, $1,000,000 to whatever pool you want. And this is the current APR. So right now it's only 4.5%. It's always fluctuating based off of volume. And we'll get into that, either on this stream or a future stream. I just really want you to understand the basics of the mechanics of how this stuff works. So you can filter, so if I want to filter by TVL, you can go from, highest to lowest, or lowest to highest. But the more TVL, the better, because of slippage. I've talked about that before. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask in the chat. APR. So obviously APR is what you're earning. You can filter that. You have, this here, you have Athena and ETH pair. You can earn 65%, pretty straightforward. And then you have your 1 day volume. Volume is key. Volume is king in DeFi. That is how you're earning your fees. So the earnings that you're getting is based off of volume. If it's low volume, like right now, we can come here and we can look on DeFi Llama, the tool I use most. You can look at right here, you have DEX volume. We've been trending sideways for, the past couple of weeks now. There's a 7.5 billion worth of volume across, the tracked dexes on DeFi Llama, and it tracks, pretty much all of them. You have ETF inflows, you have a bunch of different data here. I invest purely off of data. I do not go off social media posts and hype and any of that. I am 100% unemotional about my trades. So 24-hour volume is what is going to is what's making you money. So always make sure you have good solid volume before you enter a pool. And we'll get into that. So that's basically how it works. You can click on one of them. It will bring you to, the pool info. You have the pool address here. In future episodes, I'll show you how to look up, pool addresses on Dex Screener, and it will give you a candle chart on it. So, we'll get into selecting concentrated liquidity to increase your earning. All right. So the difference between pools. So say that you want to get into this USDC ETH pair. Basically, you can come here, you can add liquidity, um, but there's two different ways that you can add liquidity. Is you have a full range, which will earn you less APR, but it is always earning. Or you can choose to do concentrated liquidity, which is a set range of price, basically. The narrower the range, the more APR that you're going to earn. The wider the range, the more that you're going to stay in range, but you're going to earn less yield. That's why in the chat, when you always hear me talking about how Plume right now, and has been for quite some time, and I'll show you, has been my workhorse because it has been ranging sideways since launch pretty much, and I am just printing money with it. So that's what I'm going to add liquidity to here in a minute. Oh shit! Sorry. Appreciate you, Kyle. Um, so yeah, so basically, this is just the liquidity pool here. So Uniswap and Aerodrome are the two major dexes that I use for providing liquidity. Aave, this platform here, is what I use for lending and borrowing. It has the most, it's the most trusted. It has the most liquidity on it. It just it is what it is. You're not going to get the best APYs, but the reason that other platforms will offer higher APYs or APRs is to incentivize people to come to the platform because there's higher risk. I mean, you have to mitigate your risk whenever you're playing with these platforms. You can go to some obscure DeFi platforms with very little liquidity, but if that platform goes under, you might lose all your liquidity. So yeah, you're earning more, but you're risking more. So keep that in mind. Yeah. No, Aerodrome is by far one of my favorites, and I'm actually going to show you a awesome tool to use called VFAT here in a second. All right. So yield farming, staking, and lending. We just kind of went over yield farming, which is the liquidity pools. Staking, which I'm sure all of you are familiar with. There's a lot of a lot of projects out there that you can stake and earn. It's pretty straightforward, pretty low risk. Staking and lending are your lowest risk plays. Yield farming, it gets a little riskier and you can get very risky in yield farming. Doing it with liquidity pools that have meme coins and has thousands of percent. But the assets that are in the pool, if they're not blue chips, if they're not strong projects, I'm not going to buy that token to begin with or that coin to begin with. Let alone trust that that liquidity pool is gonna earn me solid returns. DeFi for me is a long-term residual income play. It's not a get rich quick scheme. If you want to, play that lottery, go play with meme coins and 50x longs and shorts and stuff like that with a portion of your portfolio. That's not for me. I just want, and you can make a lot of money. I mean, the past 4 months, I've doubled, everything that I have in DeFi. I've doubled my token count, even though we took that huge dump in the market. I was still earning the whole time. So I was just adding tokens to my bag. So when the market recovers, I'm going to be sitting it beautifully. I mean, I've done some math and I mean, I started out with like 15 grand. And if we go back up to the levels that we were at before, I mean, my DeFi portfolio will probably be around 80 grand. So, it's earning at these levels is exponentially beneficial, as the markets pump back up. So, yeah, let's see. Yeah. No, it's Uniswap is good. One thing to understand about Uniswap though is it is for the most part if you're doing a lot of the pools, um watch your fees. If it's ETH mainnet, keep an eye on your fees. Base is the fees are always a fraction of a cent. And that's one of the reasons I love Aerodrome so much is it's base net. And so the fees are always just a fraction of a cent. But ETH mainnet can get spendy if the network gets busy. So keep an eye on that. All right. So we went over proper popular protocols. Um, I'm not going to get into the lending and borrowing flywheel. I'm actually on Monday. I'm going to be having a freaking. Actually, I'm going to show you. This guy is a freaking guru. Um, Here it is. So on Monday, join us. I'm actually having Lucas from Crypto Labs Research on. He is by far the fucking goat when it comes to DeFi. If you're not following them, I highly suggest on X and on YouTube, just look for Crypto Labs Research. They have a course, an online course you can go through. They are really good at breaking down and much better than me. I'll just be honest, much better at me than teaching DeFi. He is a subject matter expert. But I'm going to have him on. Me and Jeff are going to have him on Monday night, 5 p.m. Pacific, and going to be asking him all kinds of questions about DeFi. If you want your questions answered, show up for that show. It's going to be huge. So anyway, wanted to make sure I threw that out there. Yes, let's do. So the reason that DeFi is going to be so powerful is just like crypto and and technology like Starlink, it opens up banking and finance to the world. I mean, I'm out in the middle of the freaking woods, like an hour away from the nearest city. I am on Starlink. I do crypto and DeFi, and I'm earning. You can be in, sub-Saharan Africa. You can be in Antarctica, anywhere you have an internet connection, and you can do DeFi. You can be sitting on a beach drinking a mai tai next to your, guy or your lady, whatever, surfing, and you can be earning. So, my lady actually just went down to Central America on just a little, girls trip, and she ran into a couple, and the guy, he had a startup, sold it, and used the money to do DeFi, and they live off of his DeFi earnings and just travel the world. It's not far fetched to do, especially with the way that you can earn in DeFi if you build your portfolio properly. You want to mitigate risk, build the foundation. And me personally, that's with lending and full range liquidity positions because they're always earning. And it's just 24/7, 365. So and we can get into that. Yeah, mountain magnets. I highly suggest you be there for Monday. It's definitely going to be some alpha. Um, another really good tool is this here. It is Dex Tools. So it's a really good place to find liquidity pools across multiple platforms. And you can come over here, and you can like look at Pair Explorer and look up different pairs. You can find new pairs, token creator, multi chart, multi swap, airdrops. This is something that Jeff, my resident airdrop specialist. Oh, sorry about that. Um, But yeah, there's a lot of really good information that you can get from these, and there's also a lot of really good news outlets that you can get some alpha on, potential plays in DeFi as far as figuring out where volume is going to be moving to, where it currently is, all of those sorts of things. So I'm gonna hit this last, and then I'll show you how I'm gonna add liquidity to my plume position. So um, this is VFAT. So and what it does is it will actually read my wallet and it will show some of my positions. Like this one here is actually on Aerodrome. It's a DeFi aggregator. This one here is on it's on Shadow on the Sonic network, and it's so on a totally different platform. And then these two positions are actually on VFAT. And the cool thing about DFAT, and I'm not saying run and use VFAT, do your own research. But the cool thing about these positions actually being on VFAT is this panel over here. So because they're here, it adds a lot of options, and it gives you a lot of data, but it gives me a lot of options. So I can withdraw this position, I can compound, which would take whatever earnings I have and put it back into this position and increase my deposit. Or if I had, any earnings here, I could harvest it. So basically just take my profits, and I can take it in actually, here, I'll show you. So this one I have, $44.53 that I've earned so far. I can harvest this, and I can choose what asset I want to receive. So I can get my $44.53 in the current, value of Arrow, Morpho, Ulink, that's universal link, so it's chain link, but just on another chain. Wrapped ETH, Coinbase wrapped Bitcoin, USDT, USDC, pretty much, there's a bunch of different options of, how I can take those profits. And usually I take stuff in stables, just kind of, what I usually do. Compound, I can take that 44.53 and add it to my 13.65 over here and just compound it back in to, get that compounding interest going, and get that compounding yield. I can withdraw it again. I can withdraw the whole amount, close out this position, move it into another position, or I can increase. So if I have a little bit, like you can see, I have $464 of dust in my wallet in Arrow. I can add that. Whereas on a lot of the platforms like Aerodrome, you have to add, if it's an Arrow USDC pair, you have to add Arrow and USDC. So you got to sell some, or you have to do something to come up with the right amounts of those assets. Here, I can just say I want to add this $464 to this position. I can select that, and I can add the max amount, or I can add a small amount, whatever I want. That's the beauty of VFAT. It adds a lot of functionality that some of these platforms like Aerodrome and Uniswap don't have. I really wish they would integrate this type of functionality into those platforms, but until then, VFAT is a great tool to do that. So, yes, exactly, mountain magnets. So, just an option of a single side deposit is very awesome, and it should be standard. I don't know why it's taking Uniswap and Aerodrome and other platforms so long to do this. I mean, it seems like it would be an easy thing to do. So really quick before we close out and I show you, that how I add liquidity to that position. I want to make sure that you understand there are smart contract risks. There's bugs and exploits that can happen with smart contracts. So there are risks in DeFi still. I want to make sure that you understand that. Impermanent loss, I'm going to explain this as simply as I can. You're going to hear about this specter of impermanent loss or divergence loss. I personally don't care. All it is the difference between if you hodled the asset or if you put it in a liquidity pool and you're earning fees, and the value of that liquidity in that pool, because that value goes up and down depending on the assets, and you're earning fees on top of it. If that together isn't equal to or greater than the if you would have hodled, that is what is considered impermanent loss. It's underperforming just hodling. I really don't care about that. I have my hodl bags. I use DeFi to earn steady income. That I can cash out and have it as free dry powder to buy dips, to live off of, to make car payments, to travel on. I'm taking my lady down to Southern California, here in the next couple of months to go see a freaking comedy show. So it's a great way to augment your income, and it's all free money. It's instead of my money sitting in the bank earning nothing, or sitting in my account, most of my money is in DeFi, where I'm earning anywhere from 5% to 1,000% APR. Why have your money sitting still when it can be earning for you? So that's just my 2 cents. Um, what else we got? Scams and fake tokens. Be really careful check before you enter pools. Make sure that you check the address of the assets and make sure that they're not meme coins because sometimes like base. There was a meme coin called base. As far as I know, the base chain does not have a token. So some people, they might think, oh, base just launched its own token. Not the case. So be careful. And then regulatory uncertainty. It's getting a lot better, with Trump in office and a lot of, we don't have the SEC and Gary Gensler, going after crypto and crypto projects now. So now it like clear regulation, rules of the road are being drafted. And that is going to be what allows institutions, banks, things like that to really enter the DeFi. And that's DeFi is going to explode. But just like with regular crypto, when these institutions came in, they kind of fucked up the party, to be honest. They came in and they took a dump in the punch bowl because the 4-year cycle that we're used to kind of isn't tracking like it used to. We're kind of in uncharted waters because I mean we're only sitting at just over a 2.5 trillion dollar market cap for all of crypto. It makes it really easy for them to manipulate the market. Now that they legally can enter the market, they can mess with the market, and they're driving these prices down because they're building out and they're stacking. They're doing over the counter buys to where they're just stacking their bags and keeping it as cheap as possible so that to FUD people out, so that they get the price lower, so that they can just keep buying and stacking. So the same is going to happen with DeFi. These APRs, this yield that I'm earning right now, is not going to last forever. It very well could get to where it's always single digit APRs or maybe, low double digits. Now is the time to learn and earn. Get knowledgeable about DeFi and how DeFi works so that you can, plus up your bags for, the hopefully the pump that's coming, at some point. Who knows when it's going to be? Next week, next month, next year. But this is a great way to stack your bags, to plus up your bags to earn. So let's see. So the three takeaways is DeFi puts you in control. No one else is in charge of your money. They can't freeze your money. It's self custody. What we always talk about in crypto. Start small and learn by doing. So watch this, watch Crypto Labs research, and dip a toe in. Put a hundred bucks or a couple $100 in lending. Figure out how that interaction works with connecting your wallet. Providing liquidity. Watch how the how it earns, and get used to the different platforms and what they pay out in. Like Aerodrome only pays out in Arrow. Uniswap, when you're in a position, if it's an ETH USDC position, it pays you out in equal amounts of ETH and USDC. Every platform pays out differently. So, you need to become knowledgeable about that so that, you know how to take your profits. Do I want to swap that into a stable coin? What, if it's a super volatile asset, like if you're, playing the meme market and making like awesome APRs, when you're pulling that, those profits out, lock in those profits. If you can't take them out in a stable coin, swap it into a stable coin. Lock that in. All right. So with that, I am going to show you all how I add liquidity to my positions. So this is my current positions, and some of these have been running longer than others. My full range position down here, these two are on V3. They are not earning as good as my V4 position. I am going to start leaning heavily into Uniswap V4. It I won't get into the nuts and bolts of it, but it adds what's called hooks or added functionality. You can actually add functionality to your liquidity pool position when you enter it, and we'll get into that in the future. But it is it automates a lot of the yield functionality on these pools to where it seems like it's always earning a better APR for me. Like this one has been open, this 13, over 1300 bucks has been open longer than this position. Only just opened this position about 2 weeks ago, and it's almost earned as much as this, and it's only like almost half as much. The position is almost half as much. So this is the one that I'm going to add this liquidity to. So click on it, and I have remove liquidity or add liquidity. I'm going to add liquidity, and just this panel will pop up. Looks like you guys. Oh yeah, you can see it. All right, cool. So you can see I have just over 2,000 plume. I'm going to see if I add it all, what happens. So yeah, because of where the price is currently at, it's at the bottom part of the range because this is a range position. This isn't full range or full range. I actually chose a price range for this, and I can show you after this. I think it was 15 cents to 25 cents is the range I picked. A super wide range. So I have plenty. I prepared for the stream. I have plenty of USDC to go into this, and I'm going to add this plume. So plume position will be 4,385 plume and 129 USDC, and the network cost because it's Ethereum mainnet, it's 88 cents. Not going to break the bank, but it's not like base where it's a fraction of a cent. So I'm going to hit add. Take another, always take a look at it because things can change. So same thing. I'm adding the plume, adding the USDC. The rate is 1 USDC for just over 6 plume. New plume position will be $1,046. New USD position $189 with a network cost of 89 cents. Confirm. I have wallet guard. You won't see that popping up, but I highly suggest you get it. It's just an added layer of security. It's going to let you know, hey, you're about to give this website access to your wallet. I'm going to continue. You're not going to be able to see this either. It's taking a minute. Come on, Coinbase wallet. All right, let's try this again. Confirm. Continue. Come on. Damn technical difficulties. Well, any of you, while we're sitting here waiting on this, do you have any questions? Because after this, I'm going to end the stream. So if any of you has any questions, feel free to pop them up. All right, we're going to start this over. Let me refresh this screen. I might have just been talking too much. Here we go. Let's reconnect the wallet. All right. So let's make sure. Okay, yep, this is the V4 position. Let's add liquidity. Do max. Add. Confirm. Continue. There we go. All right. So, yep, I went through. Network fee is going to be 85 cents. Here, I'll share it. So you can see I'm double checking everything. Everything looks good. Confirm. And then that's it. Oh, hold on. Let me share my screen. There we go. My phone just buzzed at me, and you can see that my liquidity just went up to $1,235.78 for this position. And when I did that money that I had, that 70 some odd dollars, that I had, it automatically cashed that out. So let me check my wallet real quick and see. Yes. So it was 80. Oh, so it was like $100. So, I got $59.47 in USDC, and I got $39.45 in Plume. So it automatically cashed that out. So next time I add to a position, then I'm gonna have, I'll have those assets that I can throw back in there. So that's just one way. What form is this? Oh, here we go. This is U's 062. Most, I would say the safest platform to do DeFi on. I love Aerodrome, but Aerodrome and Uniswap are pretty much going to cover all your bases when it comes to DeFi. As far as liquidity pools and where you want to be able to put like assets that you're able to put into liquidity pools. Aave is probably the best place to borrow and to lend. You're not going to get the best APYs or the APRs, but it is the safest. It's one of the best managed platforms out there. The higher the APRs you get, the more potential that it's not sustainable, and so therein lies the risk. So yeah, Uniswap is definitely a good one. So um, that's pretty much it. That's all I got for you. Um, So if you understand DeFi, you're going to understand the future of finance. I mean, it's still super early, and just like with crypto, early adoption, those that adopt early are the ones that are going to profit the most. So I highly suggest, learning about DeFi, even if you don't get into it, even if you're not going to be providing liquidity or anything like that. Learn about DeFi. It is going to be a huge part of the financial sector moving forward and investing. Stocks, treasuries, bonds, real estate, intellectual property, music, you know, it's going to be anything that can be tokenized will be tokenized. Mark my words. So with that, I appreciate all of you. AJ0629, Alexandria G, Granny's Garden, Mountain Magnets, Uncle Tommy, Kyle Watts, Ellie Fucks, K Jam. Oh man, all of you. I appreciate you supporting the channel. Please, like, follow, share the stream. I really want to get this information out, and I can't stress enough. Even though that we've joined Discover Crypto, I'm doing this for free. Have not monetized this in any way whatsoever. I am just passionate about DeFi and how it can help all of you earn like I'm earning. I want. There's not a lot of people telling people about DeFi because the more people that get involved, the less profitable it is for those of us that are doing it. But I don't want to be that guy. I want you all to be happy and successful and improve your lives. So all I ask is just like and share this stream so that we can grow this channel. And so others, can get the word about DeFi and earn. So with that, thank you all, and Veteran Crypto out.